So someone gave me advice once
Hmm.
that when you really want a position, it's actually more beneficial to have connections or a chat with a hiring manager or someone that knows the hiring manager before just sending in your CV. I
Okay.
know that there's some like unethical practices, but what's your take on it? Is it completely unethical, and does it have an advantage to have connections within an organization that you want to get into?
So obviously it depends on the manner in how it's conducted. I don't think it's unethical. I think if you do know somebody in the company, or you do have the opportunity to speak to the hiring manager for whatever reason, and you do have that chat, um, you're not, you still, provided that you still go through the recruitment processes, that you apply for the job, that you get screened, that you meet the requirements compared to, I mean, that you follow the same process that all the other candidates are expected to follow, then there isn't anything unethical with that approach. But you're obviously
Mm,
taking a gamble, because I actually do know of a case where um, the one company, they were hiring for a position, and one of the candidates actually reached out directly to the executive. It was his role, and they sent him a long LinkedIn message to say, like, they're interested and they would like to meet for coffee and get to know a bit more about the role. So some people, so it all depends on who you get on the other side. So some people might find that forward and be like, okay, or just ignore it or not even check their LinkedIn. But other people might actually be like, okay, this person shows a keen interest. They seem to tick a lot of the boxes. I'm willing to entertain that conversation. So from
mm,
that perspective, it's fine. So I think in HR, what our role is that even if somebody comes in, and I mean, you also know a lot of companies have referral programs as well, where
yes.
we would pay you a percentage or X amount if you refer someone for a position. So in that case, it's
Mm,
like it's an ethical way of doing something. And the reason why we have something like that is that you basically vouching for somebody, you putting your own reputation at stake to say, hey, I recommend this person. Um, and a lot of people won't do that if they feel that, that if this person's not going to do well in their job, it's sort of almost, impacts their own sort of reputation at the company. So it does, I think, hold weight to have somebody sort of vouch for you and say that, what, I think this person would be a great fit for this role. I've worked with them before and they were great, and I think that they would do very well. So we would actually obviously consider that. But then from an HR perspective, we need to, from legislatively, we need to make sure that we are applying fair recruitment practices. And that would mean that that person would still need to go through all the different sort of stages within recruitment.
So would you recommend it? I know it's a gamble, but would you recommend it?
I personally would recommend it if I knew the personality. So if I put myself in that position and I knew the
Mm.
personality of the hiring manager, I had some idea of what kind of personality they had, and I think if I thought that they would respond positively to it, then I would go for it. But you also get, it also depends on what you get on the other side, and that is, like you say, it's a gamble. But it would be cool. But a lot of the times you're not going to get a hit if you sort of reach out to them directly. It sort of depends, and especially when it's a role where where we have so many applicants. So the more scarce I think the skill is, the higher your chances of actually being able to chat to the hiring manager directly. But if you're like a dime a dozen, they just don't have time to sort of entertain those kinds of discussions as well.
See,
So you probably have a higher chance if you have a scarce skill.
I see.
I'm not an HR specialist, but I think I can attest to what you just said now because I think in my own experience, I remember probably 4 or 5 years ago, a role was advertised within the bigger company. And then I emailed the guys who put it out. I was like, hey, can I come ask you about this role? And then I showed up. The guy called his co-manager into the office, and it turned out to be an interview. I was just going there to, to
Oh,
ask
that's
about the
amazing.
role. They liked me. I liked them. I got the job. So I guess
That's amazing.
yeah, it's not your normal, search your CV and you could say it's maybe it's not connections, but maybe you could say it was. And I think in that case, it was Scar Skills that probably won the day.
Was it in the same company that you applied for?
It
That it was
was,
maybe a different division in
yeah.
the
So
company?
it was it's a conglomerate with different businesses
Okay.
within. So it was moving from one business in the conglomerate to another, basically moving from a health division to a corporate division, something like that.
So I think so I think in that case it's slightly different, hey, because
Yeah.
you're already in the company, you know the company culture, you know a few people already. So in that situation, I would then advise you to go for it because you've already built a rapport. They can already speak to some of your managers already to ask, okay, what kind of
Mm,
worker that is, and you know, so if it's an internal
yeah.
movement, then go for it. Like I would then go for it just because you have a higher chance of sort of being noticed because you're already in the company,
Mm,
and we already have information on you, on sort
mm,
of what your performance is like, etc. And then you've sort of got nothing to lose there.
mm,
Um,
mm. No,
yeah.
that actually makes sense because that's exactly how I play it out as well.
Yes, yes. So in that case, I would definitely go for it because, like I said, like you know some people, and they will know some people that know you that can actually attest for you
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So in that case, it's definitely worth taking a chance.